starting the study session without a quorum.
Well, you have a quorum comes in two short.
Problem solved. The quorum in the morning.
Hey, Lord. I do.
Here,
Awesome.
if there are no action items, you I don't know, that's my question, I'm not sure. He's guided me before and I have forgotten.
You felt comfortable with doing it without that. Probably not going to happen. We're going to study session without that.
Say that again.
He doesn't want to have study sessions without the council.
Yeah. Or to have one about him today, Brian. You good?
Yep.
Let's call to order our city council study session for June 17th, 2026. Acknowledge, like to excuse council, legal counsel, Brian Lewis, who is at the police department doing training, and asked to be excused from this conversation today. Appreciate council being here, those that may be participating live or watching this recorded session, thank you for your interest. We'll start today with agenda item number 1, which is the general fund budget request summary. If I can give some characterization to that topic. At our last study session, we received the final presentations from each of the departments, and the council asked that we assemble that into what does this all mean document. So Eric and Tammy have been working on that diligently. I'm prepared to represent all that information to you today.
What Joey has pulled up on the screen here, I'm not sure if this was printed in the handout or not. There's that particular one. This is just a quick little brief history. This is actually directly from our financial statements, and it just shows a breakdown of all the different revenue sources that we have from the state and from the county and the state here. So it just broke down into different categories here. When we get further into the discussion here, the main focus will be the far right column, which is the total taxes that are paid, whether it be sales tax or property taxes, all combined on this page here, with our current estimates for 2027 to be approximately 12.95. So that's just the quick overview of what this page is. It wasn't included in anything else, but it's just kind of the history of, you can see how it's broken down between how many different types of taxes we have there.
Nice questions out there as we go. Yeah, there's a little bit of increase in property tax. Most of those have remained flat.
Yes.
But in column H, you see that big reduction, the $330,000 reduction that Bridger spoke about in his highway, streets and roads. In that highway user, that's money flowing from the state that we're going to have that deficit in historic revenue. Shared sales tax is up a little bit though. Those are all monies that flow into us from outside agencies.
Yes. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And then the miscellaneous general fund revenue to 1.49 shown down there, that includes several different things, our permit fees, franchise fees. The interest revenue, there's multiple things that go into that. We can identify those for you if you'd like, but just know that that's just additional revenue from those other sources. Giving a total of the 13.9 anticipated general fund revenue for 27. Jody, if you want to go to the next tab. And scroll up, please. So this is the first sheet of your handout. A little small, I can't write it there. So the top green section, so they're separated out by sections. Top is general fund. Streets is the next section. It's its own beast, so it doesn't quite fit in general fund exactly, although its funds do come from the general fund, it's just, it's got some special circumstances, and then the last section is enterprise funds. That top section, first column, is just the total request that you saw in the budget presentations, includes everything. And then the following columns are the sources of where we anticipate those funds coming from. So column D, that is internal department revenue. That's what those departments anticipate making within their own departments. And then the 27 allocation percentage, that is the percent that will go to the department from property taxes. Column F, the one-time operations transfer, is what departments are asking from general fund reserves to fulfill their operations. Impact fees, you can see there, police are the only ones using impact fees this year. And then, the rec program has user fees that you can see they have the next column, $1,500 overage they anticipate not using, so. It's a self-sustaining program. The bottom of those shows the totals for those columns. The yellow ones are what will come out of general fund to support departments. So that end number, the 12 million, is the total of the general fund requests. Highway, streets and roads has that 3 million total request. 1.17 of that will come from the state. The allocation percentage also from the state in the form of property tax. And then the one-time operations transfer is what they're asking for that additional pavement maintenance. But keep in mind, this is also still has that $280-something thousand shortage. And then CDA funds, which have already been given to us. They've been programmed in, they haven't been spent entirely yet, so those are sitting there, but they are in the general fund. So they're also categorized yellow, showing that they're coming out of the general fund. So the total for streets is the 3 billion. Enterprise funds, they, total request again on the left, their anticipated revenue. And then what they're gonna be taking, or in this case for sewer, putting back into fund balance. Sewer's not anticipating them using the whole credit. So they'll have some going back into reserves. So, Joey, if you'll scroll to the right and back up a little bit, those charts there, just for your reference, so you can see the percentages of what departments are using of the general fund. But then off to the right, you can see that total general fund required, that's the total general fund plus that streets amount, so we're at 15.1 million from the general fund. And then the enterprise fund total request for 12.4, which they are selling.
Does the, the impact fees under police, the 307? Is that because they're using that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
but they're,
Are the impact fees that? Like, we don't have them in a revenue column?
those are, the impact fees are in their own account,
Okay,
separate from general fund dollars. So they are set aside, they are separate.
okay, we don't necessarily count them as a revenue, we just set that aside for when they need to be used. Okay, gotcha.
Any other questions on this sheet?
So the 12 is part of the 15. On the right.
Yep, the 12 and the 3 make the 15, that's our total general fund.
So that's plan for what will be used this year. This
Yeah.
Fiscal year, this next fiscal year.
Yes.
Alright.
Okay, so moving on to request, yeah.
Joy, will you go back to that? I'll make sure that we're on the same page with Dan. Dan, you're talking about the 12 that's general fund on line
Right.
9
Yeah,
and the
right.
3 from streets.
I'm talking about that 15 up there and the 12 enterprise is part of 15.
Oh, no, sorry, I thought you were talking about, no,
Okay,
12 from enterprise is their own strictly
They're all
enterprise.
strictly enterprise. Those
Yeah,
funds.
so our total budget is 27.
Okay,
Change.
that's what I was asking.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the 12 at the bottom of the total general fund.
No, okay.
Okay, I'm glad we clarified that, yeah. Okay, so the next sheet is a summary of, it's broken out by department. That column B is things that were highlighted within the individual department presentations. These are requests that have come from the departments to continue their operations. Well, this is outside of basic operations, but still needed to perform and meet the requirements. The ones on column D were requests that were discussed for this year, for fiscal year 27, but that have been delayed. Have they agreed to either wait or put them off until a different year next year?
So these are ones that came up in the presentations.
Yep.
They
you
decided
have
that
heard
they're
about
gonna postpone these.
Yep.
Alright,
Yeah, so column B, you've heard about all of those.
yeah,
Nothing should look like a surprise. The second half of this sheet is the enterprise requests. There is, just for reference, when you look at the sewer section, Valenti and Ellis don't have numbers attributed to them yet because we're still unsure if those are gonna happen. But if they did, we'd open the budget up at $12 million. So just so.
yeah, do you have any idea how much those potentially may be?
Yeah, I think we're efficient. So we have an estimation, but, we're partly through design, so we'll get a better estimate, but if I remember right, it's like 2.5 to 3. Positions. We do too. Okay.
So do we think that's gonna happen in FY 27?
I was hesitant to commit to that. I didn't want to show it to budget because it is uncertain. It is really all dependent upon property acquisition, which is my primary struggle. And then time to get the design approvals completed. That may not happen in 27. So I was hesitant to put it, which is why Kim mentioned, if it looks like it's gonna happen, we just put a budget for that one out.
Sorry, so I just wanted to point out of the 15 million, the 15.1 talking about. At the bottom of that first section, that 2.1 is part of that. Okay.
Oh, it's not extra, this is included in those numbers.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
All of the requests are already included in the
Yeah.
numbers from the
Yeah.
previous.
Yeah. And then lastly, maybe, just overall picture, what are we looking at? So our total general fund revenue from that first sheet, including highway, streets and roads revenue, we're looking at 13.7 million. Our total requests are 15.1, leaving us a deficit of 1.3 million.
So that number is different than it now.
It should not be.
Your 13.7 there says 13.9, 13.994.
The 13.9, I think, is the accurate. We got one from one. I should update something since 3 o'clock.
I did, I switched it and the numbers were numbered in the chart, they were dollars. It's.
Technology.
Yeah, I mean, these are rough dollars.
Plus or minus 15.
Yeah, plus or minus 15 million, fine. I think most importantly, the deficit, I think is I think that one's right. The one.
Well, ours says 1.173, yours says 1.373.
Hold on, 13.
It's off 200 grand.
So, yeah,
1.173 is where we
there's
just split.
200-ish, 200,000 extra in the revenue. On ours, which makes
Yeah. Okay, good.
the deficit 200
Yeah, then
less.
11.8 here, 11.6 there, and that just carries down. There's 200,000 short somewhere, or different, not short.
It's
exactly.
just pulling from that threshold tab and it's being or that threshold spreadsheet's being
You got a
very.
formulation wrong.
Yeah, it's being very strange for some reason. It's saved on my.
Get to it, I think. You're gonna have to do
Beautiful.
this.
Yeah, when I look at it, on my computer, it's working.
But
Anyway,
the correct number is the 117. That's what we've been discussing once it changed. You didn't add additional revenue.
no, but looking, it takes out our operations. No, yeah, you're right. The 1.1 is correct.
The one-
Really?
1.17, yes.
Okay.
The only thing that changes is the 9.6, the 9.4. Based on that threshold, that's where those numbers are getting screwy for some reason.
I think we got it.
Nevertheless. If you were to fund all the general fund requests. You can see right there, our general fund balance as of April 30th is 10.8 million. So if you subtract the deficit out of there, that 1.3, if you were to fund all the requests as is, it leaves our general fund reserve balance at 9.4.
Right.
I wish these numbers were pulling up correctly. You can see off to the side, the reserve threshold amounts. Yeah, it ends up being 5.2 million. Those are the right numbers. It's just formatting.
So should the numbers match from the graph and then out to the side? Or is
That-
one the,
One's what you would use and one's what would be.
what would be
retained.
left? Okay.
Yeah,
The one out to the side is what we would. what
yeah,
would
so
be
for
remaining?
3 months, need 3.7 million to operate.
Okay.
And then you would have 5.2 left in reserves.
Okay.
This is if you funded all the requests as is. If you go back to the request highlight sheets. That's where you can start making those decisions. If you decided not to use. The 1.1 out of reserves. That left-hand column is what you want to start looking at.
Council, I think that's our challenge, the other elected officials,
Yes.
is making that determination of, are we willing to use 1.2 million of reserves? Compared to. What's the total? What's the total less there in this category, just throw there, sorry. 2.1.
Yeah.
So there's, 2.1 in requests that are valid and important to operations. But they're uniquely pinned to this fiscal year. We had, that's our challenge.
How many,
That's our role, responsibility to our community.
how many of which ones of these are a one-time for this year?
Good question.
Great question. Obviously, the employee ones are ongoing.
Right.
Some of them. I think outside of that, most are one-time costs, with the exception of, I'm assuming chief's software requests may continue on for more years. Capital planning for trucks may continue on in the future, right? But for right now,
Right.
for this year, outside of employee and personnel costs, we would consider them one, but I think either way you're looking at it, going forward, we're gonna have the same deficit. It's not, it may not be these costs, but it would be different costs. Because a lot are being delayed already.
So you're saying going forward, we're gonna have $2 million deficit annually from this point out.
That is our problem to solve. It's in the next 12 months.
That's a significant problem.
It is indeed. Then to add to Cammie's response. We could look at, where is it on that sheet? Will you scroll up just a little bit, Joey, so we can see all the parks?
Yes.
Scroll down a little bit, so, yeah. There's $80,000 in Stewart Playground resurfacing. We can remove that from this year. It doesn't remove the need, yeah, it moves it to next year, so. I'm not sure that there's much in there that we could say is just a one-time, one-and-done cost. It's either repetitive or when we move it to a future year, the need still exists.
And I can tell you on the police side of the house, all of our costs.
Yeah, I figured that, so.
Now, if I can, Eric, I may step on your toes, but the goal of this discussion today is to identify, summarize all of those requests that have been placed before us. We have to publish our maximum budget, right? The tentative budget is the maximum that we intend, the maximum that we could budget to use. So from our perspective as staff, we're looking at this is our maximum budget. We have one more meeting on July 15th to then start to pull things out. And that's probably where this discussion should happen. So we should have interaction. You need to consider how this aligns with what you're hearing and priorities in our community to be. And we may start to reduce those in that July 15th meeting, hopefully in the public hearing.
We don't have the $2 million though.
No, it's
That's the request. It's the 1.1.
correct.
So that's what we're up against, is about $1 million. You think that will continue?
I think it will get worse.
Yeah.
This, for comparison, and, it wasn't obvious in last year's budget, but we were at a $1.3 million deficit in the FY 26 too. Not sure that is what council knew was occurring, but this is not a new problem, this is my.
I remember when we had the shortfall and we agreed to take it out of fund balances at that point. And we're looking at basically the same thing now.
Correct.
And like I said, this looks like this is probably gonna go on year after year with an increase, which is not sustainable. We've got to figure out a way to become sustainable. How do we do that?
Also on that same July 15th meeting, Scott and Eric are working on a long-range financial projection in 1-year increments, year 1 through 5. We may add a year 10 out there on the end of that will identify the issue. Well, I think we know what the issues are, identifying the severity of the issues year over year over year. Let us then use that as the framework to start to back into what are the solutions.
Yeah, the state hasn't helped us out here.
No.
How much is the reduction from the state? The federal and the state.
The majority of it, well, in fact, all of it is in just highway, streets and roads, 330,000. The rest of our revenue grew a little bit, not much.
And that's not gonna improve, that's gonna be where it is, they brought it down to this level, and it's gonna stay at that level.
It's decreased, if you look at that chart, Joe first had out there, it's decreased year over year, in the last about 40 years.
Okay. So it's continuing to go down. So that,
It's
Yeah,
like
it's-
it's probably, I mean, granted, right here, that can all change, right? And
yeah,
Yeah, let's look at the history of that a little bit. So we're in column H, highway user revenue, right? It's progressively over the last 11 years. Gone up, and you see when the state was quote unquote wealthy in 2024,
right,
it went up $600,000.
yeah, then been going down since.
Going down since, as we all know, in the legislative session, this was the year of crisis, and so
Oh, yeah,
we lost
because they
3/3.
created this crisis over the prior 3 or 4 years.
All indications are that this will not go back up in the 4 to 5 year period. This crisis of funding that's
Yeah.
transportation related is likely going to last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
But the trade-off for that, it's not popular, but the trade-off is we sacrifice street maintenance.
Yeah. And how do we do that, and how much ongoing deterioration are we gonna get in the next 4 to 5 years? Yes, well,
I can't put it in for you, I mean, we can look at our. Hidden maintenance plan and estimate what the need is versus what we're going to be, but as you remember, the. Plan estimated that you've been maintaining is developed.
yeah, about 1.1 million.
$2 million per year, anything less than that. The studies show that what you don't spend today is more cost in the future.
Yep.
And so when that happens, affects what that deficit is, and it becomes pretty complicated to give you a number,
Yeah,
but in general. It's just gonna.
so how many boxes of Band-Aids do we use?
We are trying to. Be as efficient and effective as we can, I think we have made good.
Yep.
Strides in that regard. We've made judgment calls to use lower cost treatments in some places than what the plan recommended.
Right.
Could
I
I
think that's
just,
smart.
could bite us in the end, but we think that we're being cautious with that. You'll see later, we've actually got some good prices at times, and so that is too. But each year, we also had. Footage to our road network.
Right. And inflation goes up every year, the costs keep going up.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's gonna
It
be.
is.
Street funding is likely the biggest issue that faces almost every municipality.
It does.
Yes, we are not, I hear it, it's a big meeting, every other city deciding the same.
And the city banks we had for a while with the CDA doesn't exist as long as it.
So obviously a few things that I think we can look at is, and I think you guys have started looking into this. Cause it's on our agenda, is investments. The money that we do have sitting in accounts. And then. I also think the grant writer. Could be huge, but that's not one that you can really like put a number on. Until you get someone in here going.
I think we need to do that
But I
first
think
thing.
making sure we find someone who is super competent in those processes. So that we can try and start going after as much grant money as we can possibly have.
What I'm hearing you explain is the revenue side of this problem. I also believe that's where our issue is.
Yeah.
We are not extravagant in
No,
expenses.
there's no question. We're not, I think we're serving, and penny pinching as we can get, be. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have no problem with what we have here. But you gotta figure out a way to balance the other side of
Correct.
that equation.
Eric, this revenue projection includes 3% property tax increase. And a little bit of money that's flowing in new construction in operation.
Yeah.
keep in mind, and I apologize, I always harp on this, most of our new construction is trapped inside urban rural areas. We can look at policy to promote infill development, right? Those types of things that are going to generate property tax revenue for us.
But we don't have to put new roads and new.
Correct. And so from a policy standpoint, I think we have opportunity to increase growth, property tax growth in our community without much impact to the expense side.
So how do we do that to be the most effective?
Remove all regulations on infill. And I say that facetiously.
No, I know, but that, I mean, that's the same thing I was thinking, how do we do that? And
I
without
mean, we can
causing
wait,
all kinds of problems.
I don't know.
Here's my
What if
ultimate.
we have the ability to waive for infill development without also just taking more money away from.
Well, without pissing off all the other neighbors that are around there.
I think we have the flexibility to do whatever we think we need to mitigate this issue. And we have to educate, share the word. But to me, that's one of our low-hanging fruits is all of the infill type development.
Yeah, and you know, if you make the right changes and decisions and promotions of it, I think it can help. But you look around at those maps and you see these little spots here and there, and think, okay, they're gonna sit there for a long, long time. And the only way you're gonna get that to move is give incentives to get something to go in there.
Correct.
And I guess that's a challenge I would put back on the staff. Let's give us some suggestions that we need to make some decisions on, I guess.
My personal goal in all of this is, I think the requests that has been presented are reasonable.
I do too.
There may be a few things out of this that we need to just kick it down the road a year or two.
I mean, we're recognizing that we have an issue that we can't continue to kick it down year after year after year. We
Right.
gotta address it one way or another. But these are, in my opinion, fairly necessary. I look at this list, and I'm not really wanting to cut a whole lot,
If any,
if any, yeah.
So my request and my commitment to you is. I would advocate to fund this list pretty close to what's been requested
To the
And-
reserves.
and have a. Significant commitment over the next 12 months to mitigate both our expense side and our opportunities for revenue. So we have this issue resolved in this budget session.
And
That's my commitment to you. I don't know I don't know what that solution is. I don't know how easy that's going to be, but that will be the primary discussion. Over the next 12 months to try and mitigate this. FY 28's budget.
Right, and I think from my perspective, I would say the four of us. That's probably what we're gonna need to make this happen. That kind of a commitment and. Continued study sessions and discussions about this and say, okay, how are we moving along this path to get us to where we actually need to be?
And step one of that is this financial projection that Scott and is working. It's gonna paint our picture. We think our base costs are going to be year over year for the next 5.
Yeah.
That doesn't work on the revenue piece of it.
Yep. And there's only so much you can do on that. That's the unfortunate thing for the city. There's only so much you can do on the revenue side.
That's the facts. That's the facts.
you kick this stuff down the road, some of it's gonna come back more expensive down the road, just like especially. I don't know, highway streets and roads, and so we've got to address it now, not kick it down the road, but if we have that counterbalance of trying to figure out. The increase that we have and lower the mitigating expenses, then I think that is on the right track.
We gotta figure out how to shrink that marginal difference
Yeah,
every year.
it's not gonna be an instant solution.
It's gonna take time, but if we can find a way to shrink it,
Yeah,
we can live with that.
yeah, put it in place now and get the ball rolling.
Our reserves. I mean, this is what they are right now. These numbers, do those tend to, what way do those tend to shift? Like, are we just depleting those at this point more and more each year? Do they replenish? Do they?
As far as the fund balances there, that's the one. This year we were able to put that to on the one of the fund balance. I have it on there, which one was overfunded there, but it did shift back to it at that point. And the balance between the three of them, you know, two of them were overspent, one of them was underspent. They do offset each other quite often. Over the long range of the fund balance, and I haven't studied that to see the overall impact of that, how it's been trending. That's probably something worth.
Cause I just feel like that would be a good piece to know. How long those can get us through until we've gotta have that revenue where it needs to be. So that we're not,
what the historical shifts are. Looking at the threshold sheet that we looked at back in March or April, when we did that, I think our fund balance was like 7 million something. So then when I plug in the 10. As of 4/30, yours might have been a little bit older, so it had grown. I don't know how those shifts are like day to day over a long period.
They are cyclical, because it's property tax related, so we collect all our property tax in January, we look rich and we spend it until July and we get some more. We spend it in that, in those 6 month cyclical trends.
But you said we're already maxed out at 3%, right?
The 3% that we can increase year over year is in 3% property tax.
Yes.
Capped by state statute
Yes.
is included in the
That's it.
revenue side of this.
We're about new construction.
Like I said, most of the construction.
New construction, we only have 50,000 to that.
Perfectly no areas. That doesn't flow in.
Yeah, well, one thing that I kind of, I'm not trying to cast shade on anybody, but last time there was always. There's some discrepancy between what the county does, the assessor does, when they pay out the new construction rules. I just wondered how accurate they are right now. I'm not trying to cast shade, but last time I brought this up, I almost lost what about 500,000? I think it was a big difference, if I remember correctly. It's a few years back, but
I think we're okay. We met with the county, to understand that process and what our limitations and opportunities are. But I didn't have any concerns coming out of that discussion. As far as the methodology of how the money flows to us, some of it flows to CDA.
I just
I didn't have a concern, but if you know something that we should be aware of, let us know.
not to, again, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm going to be. I don't trust the assessors, for lack of better words, the assessor's office, because sometimes they don't necessarily, the math is not always correct. And the way they disperse it is not always correct, sometimes they'll just. If it's in a certain area, like if it's close to our borders between us and Pokey, they'll usually shift it over to Pokey, just without checking anything deeper than, oh, it's close, it's right, it's close to the border.
We're going to look at that then.
Good. Just about.
Okay.
I mean, that's my critique there. I mean, I'm granted, we're trying to scrape here and there, and that's, to me, I know that's reaching, but I think it's might be a valid.
Okay.
Valid, avenue of approach.
And we have, of course, the new construction over at Pine Ridge. That's gonna generate.
Zero. See, there's everything on there.
Okay, that's right, yeah, so, yeah,
Within the process.
yeah, okay.
This is just a silly question here. With that development coming out of, that we promised, was it over at Fielded and Siphon? Who did that one? Was that the Armstrong development? Armstrong developed that one.
A little bit west of.
Westfield Estates.
They're still in county, right? And we. So they're in county, they develop in county, but they develop it to our standards. For that construction, I mean, that's
Connected
what,
to our water and sewer.
yeah. So, and that's, I guess that's where I'm, the other thing I'm looking at is the construction there, structurals there. Is that money going to the county, or is that going to us?
So the county now, until they move closer to our,
That's what we can't annex
can't
it
do it.
as of
And
yet.
annex it,
We don't-
until they be, come right back.
Right.
That's why they're starting out.
The deal
out
that
our
once
end,
we
and then
can't, then they will.
I have a problem with that. I
That's the developer, and that's the laws, and that's the rules, and they're doing it to their advantage.
I know.
You have an opportunity though, when it comes to you ask for your next phase of annexation, because there was a discussion on last. Whether or not you want to require them to annex all of their property, which would be Westville. To give us,
Yeah.
they argued against it. But there is something worth considering.
Brookstone, current, for clarity, current Brookstone developer and Westville developer are the same.
Yes.
So Brookstone's annexing a phase at a time, delaying that action.
Right, they're doing that on purpose. And,
Yeah,
you know, if I was them, I'd do it too.
but to Bridger's point, that's a discussion point that we could have. Yeah. Westfield annexation comes with us plowing the streets and, right, it's not as clean as
Right.
I'd like it to be, it does come with some.
Well, if we want the taxes, we gotta
Yeah.
do something about it.
Right. The other, I mean, Rupp property has potential to develop and we can likely do that outside of an urban renewal agency. So we could focus effort on promotion of and encouragement of that growth.
Because all the one up here to Harbor Springs, even the business part,
That's
That
all
is their
in rental area.
So if I can summarize for council where. I think that we're at, I like the requests that are there, we talked about that, there may be some that we back away from, but. Eric will advertise the. Budget at this full capacity. We can always back down from that. We'll come to you on the 15th of July with the start of a financial projection model. On the expense side of what we think that looks like moving forward year over year for a 5-year period. We'll have, our ask of you is that you consider that request highlights sheet and what things do you think you would eliminate or delay to help mitigate our exposure this year. Like also have that conversation.
Council will have to adopt that tentative budget on July 1st for publication.
Right.
Yeah, there will be a action about that.
From our next meeting. So
So
basically our next meeting.
to adopt the full budget, yeah, that's not adoption of the budget, that's just what we're going to publish.
I'm good.
And then a 12-month commitment to do all that we can to change the trend.
do the revenues in this include, I know you guys have already started working on some investments and I know. Citizens, a percentage for us,
Is it in?
Yes.
that is
We
included.
estimated it was like $300,000 total increase. I built in 100,000 into this budget to be conservative, and they are in those projected revenues.
Okay. Okay, and is that, because I forget, that account is our general fund account?
It's all of it.
It's all
That
of it.
100,000 would be the portion. that-
Okay, because some of it is our enterprise accounts as well. Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So,
Scott, you've been involved in these discussions, anything to add, we're okay?
No, I think we're okay, we hit on all the key points.
I have a question. You say, you know, look at this and determine. How many, which of these, we would eliminate if we needed to. And I guess I'm saying, you want input on which is the top 3 or 4 or 5 that you could live without?
Are you asking for input from us?
Yes.
Or what do you mean departments?
Yeah, for the departments or whatever, you know, we've got this list here. And like I said, we determined that most of these are needed, but depends upon. how much we wanna sweat things.
Let us bring back to you.
Which ones are ones that you could potentially postpone or live without right now if we have to?
We'll work on that with the departments and bring that answer to you.
Cause, you know, like I said, I can make a mark of something on there. Something may cause more anguish than others.
True, but the flip side of that is, as elected officials, we're the ones engaged with our residents and what's the priority.
Right.
The balance there.
There it is. That's what I'm saying, okay, how do we balance this?
Yes, we'll absolutely commit to have a conversation with department heads and see what, if any of those could be delayed.
I think since I've been on the council, I'm not sure we've ever actually approved everything that's been submitted to us.
And in the next few years, we can have some of these debts that are going up, the will be retired, do not.
There's a little bit of, no,
No,
no debt in the
no,
general
no,
fund, all this discussion's general fund moving.
Yeah,
In the enterprise funds, we do have some debt going to action this year, but. They're doing a great job in being self-sufficient, so, really. We don't have any debt in general, oh, that's not true, we got a little bit for the ladder truck. That's still probably got 18 years on it. Is my guess, don't quote me. We do have our certificates of participation, not debt, but that annual lease that we are. When are we getting this building, you ready? We're 8 years,
4 or 5 years.
we're
We're probably 4 years.
we're 7 years into a 20-year commitment.
A lot of different numbers.
Oh,
Say that again?
We started.
It was 21.
I think it was 21 when we came.
We started making payments probably.
But 8 years in sounds great.
Whatever the number is, there's really just not much debt associated with it.
okay, all right.
And there are things like Chief is doing that's helpful, right? I mean, he's asked to facilitate the payoff of all of his vehicles. That's a burden this year, but it actually frees up money in
Right.
year moving forward.
So the kind of measures you're talking about.
Yeah, that's,
And I think from a PD standpoint, I think it's more important to take care of what we have. So if we had to deny everything so that we don't have to think about cutting what we already have, I think that's something to keep in mind. That's not. One thing I'm hesitant with is, and I've had this conversation with the parents, my biggest concern year to year is making sure our people get adequate raises, because
Oh, yeah.
there's departments all over the place hiring cops.
Yeah.
There's a huge market for LA, so we gotta take care of the people we have, so that they don't go somewhere else.
Right.
So I just want to throw that out there.
And Scott's given us a lot of information about how expensive it is to get a new officer on board. That's just a cost we just
it's a
get.
whole lot cheaper to keep.
It's a lot, yeah, no, there's no question about that. That's even competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Council questions about the data or the process we're trying to.
Well, I think it's very good.
Okay. Richard, Don, the input, Joey, the input. Great, let's move to agenda item 2, which is about a discussion on our city investment funds. This is a positive conversation.
Oh, well, it was too. I think that was.
So this is just a brief little part here that we had reached out to citizens to ask them what we could do differently with what we have sitting there in the account. And at the time of the discussion, we had $34 million in their account. Currently, at that time, we had the repo sweep account, which just keeps all the funds in the separate account, which are held by investment securities overnight. And for calendar year 25. Paid us roughly $765,000 of interest for that sweep account at the 2.25% work. They went back to see what they could do a little bit better. They came back with these two other options. And the mayor and I, talking with them, said, thank you, and we will take option A to start right away as soon as possible. And they went to 3% with that, which they estimate bringing up the yearly interest to about $1,020,000 versus the $765 course of the year. So if we just keep everything the same, that's an increase of just shy of $300,000 already. That is already in place at this point, and it is moving forward to that one. There is a second option B that they were providing as another opportunity, and I'm leaning towards it, but I'm kind of hesitant as well, because I'm not 100% sure what it will entail as far as additional manpower on our side to manage it for the day-to-day and for the audit purposes. But in their given example that they figured for us, as was to take roughly $20 million of that 34 and invest that in short-term 3-month CDs, because that was the best rates that they had right now, and that would keep the items primarily liquid assets, not quite, but close.
Yeah.
And if we went through their process with that doing right now, they look like it would increase it by about another $60,000 just by holding it through there. And all those transactions would still be insured by the FDIC instead of the investment securities at that point. So the auditor should be happy with that still. There shouldn't be any issues there. It may be learning curve and documentation that might change with notes to the financial statements, additional documents like that. It would have to be, and it would be revisiting it every time we're coming up on
Yeah.
renewal period for those CDs,
Right.
determining if that 3-month CD is still the best one or if there's 6 months.
Right, they're short term enough, you're gonna be able to adjust.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Yeah.
Make adjustments and decisions each time those terms expire.
You rotate them on a rotating basis.
Right.
So just
Keep
constantly
them
rolling.
rolling, yeah, you started with a process of
You gotta
a couple
have
million
the-
of times so that we could do it in stages to get down to. Which,
Yes and no.
you know, I'm not 100% on board to jump right into option B yet because of the additional demand it might require to do that in the learning of everything else too. So it's a potential, and for $60,000, it might be something we are worth looking into. The other part,
May I interject here? That's based on putting 20 million into,
Into
To
the
this
line
one,
of cities,
right?
yeah,
we could choose to do less or more.
yeah,
In a 3-month cycle, we only consume $2.5 million a month. So there's a chance that we could increase that 20 million to 28 million and still be liquid and conduct a business, and thereby increase our $60,000 to 100,000. There's some flexibility there. And
and it could slow and change with projects knowing when that time's coming.
correct.
we can manage that. So I share that. Partially, we're gonna come, I think you're okay with this. This decision, we're going to ask to be made by council.
Okay.
It is the funds of the city. The decision for us to go from the current to option A changed nothing but interest rate.
Right,
So we made that decision. Money's sitting in the same places. There's no
and
change.
you need to make that decision, not us.
But option B is a change in how we have that invested, and that's why we're presenting to you now. We will come back with
Further information.
our recommendation and what those limitations may be, but
Well, I don't think there's any more increased risk that we need to be concerned about. It's about managing the day-to-day process and the flow of it. So I have no problem either way. I don't know what we need to make that decision, but if you want us to do, we can. Because it does not increase the risk one bit.
It doesn't increase the risk, we don't know what the decision will be.
we'll probably still ask you.
So Eric, I would tend to lean towards option B,
Yes.
but I would love to know. I don't wanna make a decision at the council level because it makes a little bit more interest, but then puts a huge burden on you.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to know kind of what that looks like.
I have not had a chance yet to talk with the auditor about that option.
Okay.
And I would want to put it before him before we
Okay.
try to do something.
Yeah, that's what I think, it's just between you and him.
And as soon as we get, I imagine he'll be okay with it, but it'll be a process that what we will have to do differently to facilitate that, but I think that we'll be able to do something.
To buy a city, what the interest is gonna be like.
Oh, the interest rate is there, it's fixed for.
Right.
Are there
90 days.
rates, these
You go, you
rates
can put those on automatic renewal over and over and over.
the same?
So
or
say,
Yes, you'll get whatever the current rate is, after that, get back.
Have an ask.
I didn't shop and compare that way. We do have some held, we have a small amount held over in ICCU as well. And some CDs there.
I know Citizens is also a hometown bait, but I just wonder,
Right.
I
And,
mean, if we
and they've
can
been
shop
competing
around, we
with
could
each
get.
other. They usually are trying to keep track of each other
Pretty
very close,
close,
but I
okay.
watch. I
Okay.
that's pretty good. It's 40% of it, so.
It wasn't intentional, but it was a pretty good negotiation that when Citizens came in, we inadvertently had about 8 ICCU pins off.
no.
And they acknowledged those. And we put them aside and said, what can we do for us?
Did they bring you a handful of nice pins?
I don't know. No, they brought us $330,000.
There you go.
We'll do that next.
I just talking about ICCU too, and maybe we can add this to our. I forget, what's their, when we talked to them, they talked about like their expansion possibilities. Does that grow our tax base at all? Okay,
ICCU is our,
it's more than just their building, they would build more campus, right?
they would build, if they. Their ultimate plans has another building the size of the one they just completed 5 or 6 years ago on that same firm.
Oh my. And just so you know,
So we may want to also look into ways that we can help or incentivize. ICCU to,
they are really concerned about this downtown area and what is going on and what it's gonna do to parking. Brenda has had a couple of conversations with me and wants to know, okay, what are you doing and how are you gonna take care of the parking?
We're hearing the same thing.
That's the biggest concern they have right now.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, I do think that's.
Questions, what's going out there with Dallas is construction, so that's gonna do it again.
Screw them hard.
That's why I guess you make sure me is, I want to talk to the CDA to figure out what you guys are doing to control this. What we can't, we're holding control.
Try to put it back to the agenda.
Sorry.
So, so that kind of wraps up what, currently Citizens is working with us as part of the sweep account and the change with that potentially to adding that other CD option as well. On the next tab that we have there, which is the other printout, the TBI. This is our time value investments. It was something that I guess Mayor was not even not aware of tab going on, but here's a listing of what is 9 different investments that we have going through time value investments there, and they're located in Idaho Falls. We've got $3.5 million sitting there. I believe all of them except for one are all currently owned by the water fund. And one of them is owned by the sanitation fund, if I remember right. But they're set up on a 5-year plan on each one of them, and they're rolling. We had one that just matured in March of this year, and we did reinvest that, so that one's going back into 2021. We do have another one coming up in the end of this year, October this year, and those two represent the only ones that are at a really low rate. Back when the rates were quite lower for that. So we're finally getting out of those low ones that we got trapped in for a little while. So we've been able to do a lot better with those. But one of the things that we wanted to point out regarding this is not included in $34 million of cash allocated to all the departments and such. These are specifically held by the water and sanitation departments, and they're not on that cash allocation sheet that you get every month, because they're cash equivalents instead. We get further into the balance sheets, which are the bottom portion of this, which they're listed as the investment for example, that way. So it was something that it took a little digging to figure out where these were being represented. Because it wasn't, it seems like it's cash, but it's not. And, well, they are tied up, they are set on a full and a cycle. You can see the maturity dates on there. We pretty much got to about every 6 and 9 months. I think the furthest stretch is about a year between maturity dates, so that there's always something happening with it, we're growing and changing. And those are available for water department and sanitation department, if and when those come due for that. If they were wanting to do something other than hold that investment.
In all those columns, which one represents our rate of return?
The coupon, I believe.
The coupon is the rate?
Yeah.
What's the weight? What's weight mean?
Percentage of the fund allocated to each of those.
Oh, states, gotcha.
Yeah.
And any interest on that is that's reinvested into the same accounts, right?
Coming back into interest, and one of the reasons, there's a couple reasons I wanted to have this discussion, as I already alluded to, I didn't realize that these monies existed. So number one, I was grateful they did. Two, I was concerned that they don't show up on our cash balance report, so it's easy for us to be able to recognize that they're available there as a resource. So I'm grateful to bring that forward for discussion, but I also was curious, these are treasuries, right?
Yeah, I think
So there, we have had some discussion that treasuries may pay another 0.75% higher than our 3-month CD investment.
Yeah.
Each one of those percentages equates to $1 million. So this is another tool that we could go down the path of investment in treasuries. Have a little more limitation. But it's a model that we're already using, already tracking, already opting, that could potentially.
Because right now it's just for water and sanitation, but we can potentially use it for general fund money. So as long as we just keep our balances.
The timing of it, I don't know that we wanna sign up for a 10-year treasury with
Right.
fund balance, but. I wanted to have Eric introduce this topic so you were aware of it, and there may be opportunity for us to use the treasury investment tool. In addition to the sweep or the 3-month CD.
and then it's one of the things that, with the changes of duties and leadership and staff changes and stuff, it's something that not everybody is aware of, know where they are, why they're there, so we're in discovery of some of the stuff too. It's like, oh, that's why we have those balances.
Or get your arms wrapped around it, then.
Yeah, to understand what's
Yeah.
been happening for the last 15 years and certain things that we don't understand.
Is the difference in the rates just because of when they were started?
Yes,
The economy based on.
it's all based on the economy and timing.
That was, I don't have the most current one listed on that one that I just renewed for 2020. But
So.
I was out of the office ready to find out, I heard, because we ended up not getting back for about a month. And that's why we got the additional note there, the $500,000 that we reinvested. That, from the point of the conversation I had with him, Wednesday to Thursday, that we closed, the rate changed, and that got better, even just to the day-to-day.
And that's the current rate you're saying is like 3/4 of them. What was it?
It's just.
Higher than the CDs.
Yeah, we went from 2.25 citizens to 3, and we may be able to get to the high 3s in a treasury problem.
Okay, and the CDs get us like 3.3.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's what it is today, I mean.
Yeah, that's what was on that day when they came and presented that.
Now, the treasuries have 4 or 5 year maturities.
So they've got
Right.
these cows, that's right.
So
So they're
it-
not super liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, so on the bottom line, it's so it's 10/28/25, it shows 0.63. Is that the West, so Richard was just pointing that out. The coupon on the says 0.63 on the very bottom line, row 7.
Yeah.
But the other ones are markedly higher.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that that one was
So,
different than the others.
so low.
Yeah. It's something to look at. I don't want to push on the spot because you're just learning this stuff. and I'm like,
I'm not.
something to figure out why that
differences on there.
why that one varies from the other ones so much. It's more like what's happened back in 2021, well, 21. But interesting.
Part of this, who's funding it? Like you got a Federal Home Loan Bank, you got some of those, I don't understand who this. Is like 2058, those numbers don't mean a whole lot to me. But it's weird. We may have got a security we didn't really want.
But the summation of this is Eric still wrapping his head around what is the best option. He and I together see this as a tool to increase revenue. I think we have a balance of what product do we use and what its rate is, but the offset that we haven't discussed yet is there are different risks associated with it.
Right.
There's no money, there's no risk associated with the repo sweep. There's no real risk with that 3-month CD. We do have some money in the LGIP right now that's basically stock invested, so there is some risk there. I'm sharing with you, I think that's a component of it that we need to pay attention to, and as Ryan also said. The longevity of the investment will make a difference, significant difference to us. I'm personally not excited about tying those dollars up for 5 years.
No, you can't be.
So, all of that combined, we'll use to come back with a recommendation, right?
Yeah, that's just, last month for May, the LGIP, there's just a little over $3 million in that account. And we are just shy of $10,000 for 1 month of that.
And is that one, where do those funds reside?
That gets processed for allocation.
LGIP is a state investment fund. We put money into a state entity that
So
acts in essence.
is that
as a-
general fund money?
Good question.
I would imagine it probably was.
Okay,
I think that one is general fund.
Okay.
Some of these treasuries, I think, are proprietary funds.
Yeah,
And
all-
because it fits into the capital planning.
Right.
Model, you can do it for 4 or 5 years.
yeah, all of these are enterprise funds,
All of
okay,
these are.
but that other one is probably general fund money.
Okay.
Questions?
Oh, I got my first.
Do we have answers?
Let's add it.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I prefer to leave that off. Thank you, Eric. Big effort.
This is awesome.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I think there's a discussion. Go to agenda item 3, which is the Yellowstone corridor. Potential landscape code enforcement. Chief, I didn't mean to get you excited about these, but that's just how they ended up on the agenda. Council, I sent to each of you a letter dated 9. You've had the opportunity to read that, and it's really just an invitation for the discussion today. Let me paraphrase the content of that. We all are aware, I think, that big portion of that Yellowstone urban renewal area is intended to improve the quality and aesthetics of that corridor. I have received phone calls, personal conversations, businesses, residents across the spectrum of what are we doing for their reference is code enforcement. They're identifying properties that may not be up to par with what some of the other bigger properties are there. So that resonates with me. That's the entrance into our community. I make the reference here, that's a touching point. We run 30,000 cars a day up and down that corridor. It is really what our community, it's how we see ourselves. And with Chief Sasser's input and I just want to call him councilman, I'm gonna call him Counselor Lewis's input. Trying to take an approach to this that does not rely on code enforcement to facilitate hopefully some success. This isn't a formal plan, it's an idea that I wanted to bring to you and get input, but my first thought is the step one would be just an invitation from the mayor's office. One, I would like to engage a conversation, probably written, with every property along Yellowstone corridor, either thanking them for their commitment to our community or inviting them to
Step
up their game, if you will. And my hope is that that personal engagement with them helps move the needle a little bit. My thought about that is step two would be a consideration with the Urban Renewal Agency with CDA to look at a program that may help provide some funding for upgrade of those programs. To me, that very much mirrors, they're already running a facade improvement program that's related to improvements to the building faces themselves. I see that as a mirror program, but related to frontage, landscape, those types of things. I did have a conversation with Councilmember Heiner, who also is the chair of CDA. Then I reached out to Ashley Squires, who is their director, and we're scheduled to present this idea to their project committee. I may get the terminology wrong.
I may do. But anyway, it's the committee that.
So that'll be our first formal engagement with their committee that's dealing with those improvements. Who would then take it to their board for consideration of that program. And step three, if we're unsuccessful in any of those, wanted the council's input on how aggressive would we like to become on code enforcement in that corridor. So that's the introduction. Share with you. I really just want your input on both the idea, the process, and the program. It's something that we're interested in undertaking.
I think your priorities here are where they should be.
Yeah, I think it's a great process. I do worry, well, I think we just need to frame the communication with the properties that we feel are maybe deficient. To make sure that. Like, I'm thinking as like a business owner in town, if I got a letter from the mayor's office that said, hey, how. We need you to up your game, like, I would probably be upset. So. I think if there's a way to frame that, to ask them,
What you help.
what are the hurdles that are in the way? Is it you just don't care, you just don't want to do it? Is it money? Is it? You feel like none of the other businesses are, you know what I mean, kind of. In a roundabout way, get them to understand that they're deficient without saying.
Yeah.
Like, your property sucks.
Maybe instead of the, okay, individual communication is great, but maybe you have a general letter that you give to all entrepreneurs on Yellowstone. So when it feels like they're being singled out, but saying, you know, we went up our game.
We have this plan, we're trying to improve
Yes.
the corridor,
Yes.
just the information.
Put it out on our website or Facebook page or whatever like that, just kind of start the ball rolling and then.
And then
Build on it.
And then do a general letter out to everybody in the mail that says, check our website for what we're looking for and just make it a general letter that, so nobody feels like they're being singled out. But I think no one's fine, I think.
And I do think trying to get feedback from them, so maybe you have a little, survey in there with the letter that they can, and a stamped envelope to get back to us. So we can try and figure out what the hurdles are and why people aren't.
And in your letter, just say that we are looking at ways to maybe help fund some. Or what kind of
Yeah,
help.
and you have a participation type program with the CDA. That's what we're looking to do. And wanna run that through the property committee and then take it to the board and see what we can figure out a way to put it together and figure out how we come up with the funds to do this. Yeah.
Especially, you know, I'm not saying we let things slide, but where we haven't had is, you know. I don't know where we are in code enforcement on the Yellowstone corridor. But if people have gotten by from year after year after year, then also to get tough, that's not the way to do it. And that's why your priorities are right where they ought to be, I think.
Where it has to be at.
Okay.
But I do think it's important that we get to a point where we have. A Yellowstone corridor that is reflective of. Some pride in our community. I. Think that might be a bigger economic driver than. Everyone realizes.
Other thoughts? Thank you for the direction. Other thoughts?
So let me see if I got this. So how are we gonna, let's say, how are we gonna approach everybody in on that corridor? Are we gonna send them a letter? We could, just to clarify, we can send them, what's the first step? We send them a letter or this is what we're doing, so we would like to do. You know, and probably the second thing would be, how can we help you meet that goal for you to get to that goal?
Invite their,
But instead of offering money right off the bat, just say, how can we help you, or what kind of help do you need? Instead of like you were saying, just running down their face, like, no, this is what you need to do, blah, 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 so. I mean, maybe a little softer touch, I think, and just, do you have, yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think maybe like holding a town hall for business owners, shove it. Maybe specifically Yellowstone corridor, but a lot of those business owners have really good ideas and contacts outside of what our normal
Yeah.
thinking is, and maybe they have ideas for funding that other businesses could also utilize, or ideas for the city to reach out and do. Maybe a conversation and get everybody in the same room would be better than a letter and no letter back. And
Yeah.
just gather them together.
I do think it's easy to identify those that we think are deficient.
sure.
And it's just a handful. And maybe we're skirting the issue and we just go have that conversation with it. And when I visited with Chief and with Aaron, who is code enforcement. A lot of their success comes from just a cordial initial invitation, right? And we've identified that there's a code compliance deficiency. I don't know what that language looks like, but Aaron interacts with them with an invitation. Not a threat of a citation, right? It's just an invitation. And most, if I understood this right, wants to respond positively to that.
Our goal is compliance, it's not enforcement. So if we go and just get compliance by having a general conversation, that's way. Because the enforcement on the code side is difficult because we don't have complete control, the courts do. And the judges that are hearing the cases do. And I hate to put it this way, they're hearing a lot more severe crimes than code enforcement.
Sure.
You're also dealing with ownership of
Private property.
Non-local,
non-local corporations.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's different than citing a homeowner.
Yeah.
That lives and works and is contactable. I mean, it's harder to pursue the corporation, non-living corporation than.
Yeah.
Just.
Basically, private relations not there. It's some big corporation, right? Well.
That's I would think that enforcement would need to be higher with those corporations.
Yeah, but I think you start, like I say, in a town hall meeting or whatever, invite people in and kind of give them an idea of what we're trying to do and.
I do think you should still.
And maybe have a few that you know beforehand that are interested in improving. They can kind of be plants, if you will, to kind of have some peer pressure. Let's get some peer pressure in here And let's work together to make things happen.
I know ICC, where,
Oh, yeah.
I do think it's important to still do a letter in the town hall, and maybe the letter include an invitation to the town hall, but I think there is a certain number of people that aren't gonna wanna come to it.
And even.
But you can probably still get some feedback from them, or.
And not only just CDA, but you know, ICC might want to participate in some of this
Yeah, I think they will.
funding and. Get them involved in this. I don't know.
Because even like, for example, going back to your example, the corporate. You look at over at Smith's, right, that little road, everybody keeps thinking that city, right? And you've always got those few loud voices that will always, they'll wait till you turn around and say, hey, this person who owns it. You may want to contact them, you know, that's the peer pressure. Because again, nobody wants to go digging down that little road just to get to the store, unless you were an Amity, but it's all a different animal. But you should do that a lot, but anyway, again, if, to me, the way I look at the peer pressure and all that's like tertiary. And fourth level of pressure, if you will, the levels I think we should go to before moving to enforcement. Right, but again, going back to like what Cammy was saying, get that town hall, get that letter out, invite everybody in. I'm sure there'd be some people that, right? And, you know, that may be so, but just, again, go back to the peer pressure. You got enough social media that'll, you know, the folks around you, they're all pitching in, they're all helping each other out, fix their properties up. Got that one guy or one character. Who knows, they may not be able to fix up the property. That's probably those that can help them out. And I hate to use that word, because no one's gonna yell at me because of money. So, but it's, you know,
I'm gonna yell at him.
just let me text, message text. But I mean, I think it all comes down to just treating our neighbors well and see if they're willing to jump in, help each other out. And I think the town hall is a great idea, start with that. Send out that letter, hey, this is what we plan on, this is what we'd like to see, we like planning on this, there's a town hall. You would like to get your ideas, go to town from there. I think that would be a good start. Just my opinion, I mean, that's what I've done. I'm gathering from what everybody's putting out there. Where am I wrong?
Perfect.
One thing you guys said that hits me is like the primer. You hit on that. Like for a guy, that's more valuable.
Yeah, what's in it for you,
Right.
in essence? This reminds me of our conversation with the economist from University of Idaho. At AIC conference, there was a session on a pretty detailed analysis of what economic development.
Drivers.
Yeah, drivers, but corporation data centers coming, you can study their impacts on supply chain, on property values, on et cetera, very detailed. And they gave examples of how they had done that on a number of different industries. And people both Mariana's interest, and we met, she was over on that side of the room, I was on that side, we met at his podium after the conversation, said, can you model the benefit of aesthetics to economic development? And he says, absolutely. To your point, it makes a bigger difference than we probably ever would realize. And he's supposed to reach out to us and let us know what that tool looks like. To me, that's what we take to those residents. What's in it for me? This
There's a
program-
return on investment.
It's a return. There's
Yeah.
a benefit to your business on Yellowstone Avenue by behaving this
Yeah.
way.
To attract people.
Yep.
Instead of push away.
Okay. For thoughts or input, you okay? We'll work to structure that together. This is a hard thing for me, because I wanted to mow the lawn and want it tomorrow. So,
As we.
We want to take over every property, like Brandon's house.
yeah, look at you. There's the community. pride.
That's ironic, one that they had everything. The hard part is if you force that instead of get buy-in, it gets done once.
Yeah.
And then
Doesn't last.
there's not longevity with it. And so really building this coalition and this pride in it makes a long-term difference that's forcing it.
I'm learning. Thank you for everybody's input. Ryan, just know my default position is, let's go.
That
And
economic,
council's input too, thank you.
isn't there an economic benefit too to that with their property values? And when we talk about value to their business, that ultimately it should increase the property values as well.
And their taxes.
Yes.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Input from anybody else? Great, let's adjourn study session and see everybody back.